back to another Hasty Dream Maker video. This is just going to be a nice short one today. What we're going to be doing is taking some of these small little bases like this that you use for wargaming or bolt action, and we're going to flock them up a little bit so they end up more looking like this. This one here has lost some stuff off the side, so we can touch that up a little bit as we're going along. And what we're going to end up getting here is something. Here's one of these small bases. I'll just pick this guy up by the back. And as you can somewhat see, we've got some different type of terrain feature on the small one. Let's see if I can get the larger one here I did to show a bit better. I did these all for my kids and myself. Oh, it looks like my tail was broken. Oh, lovely children. They got their hands on this. But as you can see, here's some of the different looks that I gave the bases, trying to not make them all look the same. These are my 40K, so I did mainly a ballast one with a few brush. I should have made it dead brush, but I didn't have any at the time. So, and this is some of the ideas you can do with your bases. They don't just all have to be terrain. So what I'm going to do with the plain one is show you how I kind of get the this plain one right here, how I kind of get this look, and then we're going to take this one here and touch it up and add a little more to it. And then I have one other piece right here, a nice little rooster where the terrain stuff got all eaten up on here, so it ended up coming all off, and I wanted to do something. And yeah, so here we go. We're going to get going and start this tutorial. So what you're going to need here is some fine blended turf. You pick your choice, whatever color you want to be using. I've got 3 different kinds here. I've got fine blended, I've got the dead earth, fine earth, I got some ballast, I've got some static grass, and I've got some coarse turf. So the first thing that I always do here is I start painting my bases first. And I learned this the hard way by trial and error before I even bother trying to watch anyone's tutorial. Because what I end up doing is I took spray or PVA spray that I use for sealing, sprayed it onto the bases, and then once I sprayed it onto the base, I tried flocking, and that did not work. So I'm going to quickly move some of these around, and since I got too much paint, I'm going to go around and touch up on the areas of this one really quick as well, and we'll use this as our second. One of the reasons I like to paint first, and the reason I was getting to this instead of trying to use PVA glue, is the paint's going to help you bond your terrain to your flock to your base better than the glue water solution. The glue water solution just bounces or runs right off, so you do not get hardly any suction at all. So I'm going to show you here in a second. I should have my camera on the other end. I'm going to just dab on some areas that are touching the old flock. I'm going to just get a little bit more on here. Just a dab, because I still need to go back around on here, so I gotta go a bit quicker than I am. And if I wasn't talking and explaining, I'd probably be done already. That's how quick this should be going. Okay, so yes, the reason is paint first is the paint helps your flock stick to your base. Glue just using PVA water solution just runs off. Using PVA just because itself straight up, I tried that next after I tried painting because I was having no success. And what ended up happening there was I had to run my finger all the way around, and I had to run my fingers all the way around, up and down, all around the sides. My fingers were getting yucky and gooey. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go around. On top of this bucket, I've got a white sheet of paper that I can get paint and stuff on. And one of the reasons I'm using that white sheet is I want to make sure that any of the extra flock that comes off can go back in. I don't like to waste this stuff. If you've watched some of my other tutorials, especially the better one on flock, how to flock, you'll learn. I end up making my own special blend because I just collect all the different ones together, and I've got, actually I believe this blend I have right here. You can't really see the color too well. Let's see if I get some, whoa, on my hand here and in a little bit better is one of my own mixes. I had, what was this, 3 or 4 different ones together. So coming, and they all looked close to the same, so I just all mixed them into one container and tried to use that for fall Christmas look. Let's get this back in here. Alright, so what I usually like to do is I like to take a spoon. Plastic spoon works best. I find if you use a metal spoon, it just sticks right to it. I just get a dab of my fine turf. See, and I mean just a dab, and I just tap on top and over a little sprinkle. I'll bring my phone over here to show you in a second. Just a little sprinkle, and I put the rest back in here, empty my spoon. Just a little sprinkles of what I'm going to use here, because what I'm going to do now is quickly grab my lighter color, and I'm just going to grab a little bit. I'm going to go in and around the areas I didn't touch. I'm not highlighting like I would on a base when I was showing how to do basic highlights, because this one here I want to kind of have the undertone of the ground plus the grass sparse. And now I'm going to grab the almighty PVA water solution. I'm just going to give, oh, do I have a clog again? I think I got a clog here, so let me just unclog it. Yeah, there we go. I'm just going to give a little spray on top here. I'm just trying to get little dabs here. I don't want too much. I don't want it running out. I just want it absorbing in and onto the paint. Now I'm going to go with my lighter brown ballast. And just so you guys know, on my website, the Hasty Terrain Maker, hosted on Wix, I have a tip on how to make your own ballast instead of buying this stuff. My wife was not helping me keep coffee granules before. Okay. And as I'm letting this soak in, the reason I'm not going over heavy with my terrain so far, my turf, my softer, finer stuff, is I want to now come in with my coarse turf. I'm going to just get a little sprinkle on my fingers, be very, okay, there, I'm just trying to fluff it up a bit more. Just want to get a little tad on my spoon, I mean just a little bit. And I'm going to actually use this as my upper layer. And have the other colors, the two underbrush I use that I didn't do with the highlight, and my ballast is going to work as my undercoat, as my highlights. So as this settles and dries, you're actually going to see the two colors underneath, and you're going to be able to see the ballast on top of the flying turf. So I'm just going to get some more different color of turf. I'm just going to sprinkle it on and over a little bit. We're trying to find areas where it's a little sparser on the grass, fake grass, the flying turf, flock. All right. So before I spray it down, I'm going to bring this back over. And how about I turn my phone around, pause, and turn the phone and give you a good look. All right, so there we go. You are all able to see the two-tone underneath of the lighter that I used. As soon as this dries up, you'll be able to see more of this blended turf coming out. And you're going to notice the lighter and darker, coarser turf. It won't be as prominent once I spray it down. And if you notice, as I'm coming around and I was doing my sides, the top, most of my, I don't want to touch this, most of the sides got completely covered up with either fine flock or the coarse and the ballast. So pretty much this could take all of 5 minutes depending on how detailed you want to go. So now I'm going to want to lock this back in and down. So I'm going to take my spray bottle and I'm going to just give it, try to just give, I don't want a big spray and knock this all off. I'm just trying to get little drops. There we go. And that will soak in, and we'll come back to this one in a bit once the turf and the flock and that all soak everything in the ballast and locks in. Okay guys, so I got that base out of the way to dry for now, and I'm going back and picking up this little rooster that I had already gone over with the paint and touched up and then went on the bottom. The reason I wasn't too worried about going to this one too quickly is I wanted that to settle down and I can come back around and touch up over the flocked areas that the paint was having a hard time taking to, but now it's finally stuck. And I'll put a second coat on the bottom of here of the rooster. That way it gets more of the paint on there and the red doesn't show through, even though it wouldn't matter too much because the terrain should cover that up and cover the red up. I did this actually with my farm animal on my Christmas board to hide the red on the rooster, and one of my turkeys, or chickens, sorry, or ducks, whatever the heck, a duck at the lake, to hide its bases that were pretty plain. Alright, so I pretty much got paint all over. I'm just going to get my paintbrush into the water. I pretty much got paint all over the base of the rooster and touched up on the areas of the side and the brown. The reason I'm doing that for the sides on the brown is I'm not going to worry too much about touching that up. I'm going to do along the lines of what happened with this other base right here. What falls down will just get collected over onto the base, and as we shake and move and spray, the water will just push and it'll collect and we'll get that covered up. So again, this time I want to add this to my board somewhere, so I'm going to give this more of a dead look and maybe get him near the road. So I'm going to put a little bit, unlike the other one where I only did a little bit of a sprinkle, this time I'm going to take a bit more of my dead earth here, and I'm going to go along his foot base area, not the base of the, well, that'll get it too, but the base, but I'm going to go along his original base, more with this dead grass because he's up higher, and I want it covered more. The reason I'm not worrying about the bottom part of the base is I didn't paint over it, and I didn't put down any glue, so it's not going to really grab a lot of the flock. So I'll show you in a second what's happening with the stuff that's falling onto the base where I didn't block. Okay, this is the right stuff. So what, oops, I turned my phone off as I was picking it up. So as what you can see here is why I said don't worry about getting the wet part on the bottom over here as much covered. How can I get this without the glare? There we go, because whatever's falling on here is just going to fall off for the most part. There's nothing to really seal it yet. So I've got the two-tone there. I'm not going to go with that darker because the scene I'm going with, like I did with the other base, trying to get the eventual what's going to be two highlights. I'm not worrying about this darker one. So I want this to be more, what's the word I'm looking for? I want this dead earth, less fall and more winter's already kicked in. There's what I'm looking for. So that's why I'm going to go with my earth next for my coarse turf. And I'm just going to stay with this. I'm only going to go two-tone between these two, not three like I did on the other base. Let me move this out of the way so I don't get all that flock that fell off the side wet and useless, clumped. I can always clump it up and use it for something else. Okay, so now I'm going to lock in what first coat of water glue on what I just sprayed in. I'm going to go down, try to let some of that seep over to the other side. One of the reasons, like I said here too, I'm not worried also about the bottom base yet is I want to hide. I'll show you, I'll switch the camera around in a few moments. Is there's some seams around the two bases joining together, and I don't want that, so give me a moment. Alright, so if you notice, there's the seams around the bases here. That's why I wasn't too worried about getting that wet at first. I wanted to first try to lock in the color and the brown earth underneath and the dead grass. And that way I can come in with some of my coarse turf and try to build that up and around. And over here, I've got a little bit of bush and shrub. And on top of that, this is where I'm going to actually use some of this static grass. And you're going to see what I'm going to do with that in a moment. So hold on. Now, start to finish, even with a project like the rooster, it should only take you about 2-3 minutes to get the main stuff done, and another 2 to 3 minutes for the detail because it's just so small. But because we're doing a tutorial video here and I'm stopping to explain some stuff and not just going right at it and getting it over with. Sorry, I'm just trying to break up my clumpage here so it's more of a powdery, okay, there we go, substance. So explaining this, you know, of course you're going to end up losing time. You're not just going right at it. So I'm going to just try to put some of this down and around and hide my hump on the front and side, or two sides. Actually, you know what? I think I might get away with using the second color. I do have a yellow dead earth, dead grass one downstairs somewhere in my box, but I'm not going to stop the camera just to go down and get that. Okay, so I'm going to I I don't want to go too far out on this one right here, around off the base. For one reason only. I'm using that area in a moment for some static grass, so I'm going to just give this a little tap, knock off any, and I want to tap some down around the side. I'll use that perfect, there we go, that would be perfect. I'll take a picture of this one when it's done and show you exactly why I'm doing this the way I am, but as you can see, this one is more of a coarser, you know, than the other one. The other one was more flat and a different color of depth. I wanted this one a little more coarser because I've already got something on the base here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take a bit more of my water. I'm going to get right down on the right side of my, I'm going to try to make sure this gets wet good where I want it. There we go. So now this is getting locked down on all sides. I'm taking my static grass, and instead of using a static grass applicator to make it lift up, I just want a little clump of the grass. I want to put it right at the front, and I'm not going to be locking this down. This is going to be hard at the end, so this would be something you're going to do for a display that doesn't get moved around too much. I just want my static grass in the front of my rooster. So it looks like he's got some fresh grass that's poking up that he's trying to eat. So in here I'm going to just take a bit more of my dead earth, or my regular toned earth. I'm going to come back in and around on the side again, just to touch up where a bit of it could use a bit more. And where is my, I forgot my bottle of glue downstairs, so I will have to pause the camera and I will grab some of that dead yellow. So I'll be back in a few moments. Alright, so I'm back. I'm going to take my glue on the side that I've got more room on. I intentionally moved this rooster over onto the other side. Oh, is this my water glue, or is this, well, this I think is just my little dropper glue. Oh, yeah. Well, for purposes only, and no one's going to be touching this. Normally, I would be putting a dab of regular glue, PVA glue, not watered down, over here. Taking a little bit of my bush. I want to get it just right in here near the back. I'm going to take my, see, why you have the glue is that usually you pull it down and hold it down a bit better. So, but for all intents and purposes, okay, so there we go. I want to take a little bit of my dead grass. Just going to give it a little sprinkle over into the bush here. I want to make it a little fuller looking. And then, so it just doesn't look like you put a glob on that bush right here, I'm going to take my spoon and just tap underneath. Come on. There we go. Now it's starting. I had a big glob sitting on top right in here. Now it's starting to drop down. I'm going to take a little bit more of this that I've got sitting on the side here and do the same to the side. This is why I wasn't too worried about getting the sides painted up right away when I was starting this, because I knew I was going to be getting them wet. Okay, so I want to Alright, and even with the tapping, my static grass is staying pretty good and high here. So as we're going, starting to hide in that base around him. You can't see it any longer. I would have liked to have this section here pushed down and holding, but not having any glue. I grabbed the wrong bottle. I'm not running back down. Doesn't help. And we're going to take my one color here I was saying I had is the yellow grass for the course. And I'm going to just give this a little, I'll actually move this back over towards the wet so I don't get this blocked that I want to reuse again. Alright, so I'm just going to let my, not spray, I'm just dabbing. So remember that you're not spraying here, you're just dabbing it to let the coarse turf lock it in and soak it up. And that little corner where I don't like, where I can't get it to stay down because I grabbed the wrong glue, I used my dabbing glue, which instead of using the spray bottle, this is actually what that glue I was using in front a second ago was actually for. Okay, so let's just get, I'll get a little, try to get in behind that bush, some on his, in between his legs. And I'm just going to tap because I don't want it excessive. I'm going to try to stay away from that fresh grass because I want it looking like it's fresh coming around. Okay, so I've got this completely done here. And around the side, that's fine. That's why I got it painted and wet. So as we see areas that need to be touched up, we just take our, and this is where I do this over my dry flock. I just take some of my dead earth or dying earth, burnt grass, and I go over the areas I think that need that touch up. And because that spraying that you were doing, this way you're also able to help keep that locked in. So that water that was coming down, that PVA glue that's absorbing, is pulling that in. So let's see if I can move this camera a bit. Here, let me go back to the other angle now, and we'll be back in a moment. Alright, so here, let's take a look at this now from different angles. You can see I still, and I've turned this upside down and around, I still haven't lost that static grass yet that I piled there. That looks like it's going to be fresh grass for this bird to eat. As you can see, you can no longer see where his base starts and touches the bottom base. And once this dries off, and if this was glued, I would be cutting off this little tip right here. But as soon as I try to pull it off, there's a more than good likely chance that it's going to pull the whole thing off. If we glued it down, it should properly look like this. And when you put the dead grass in and tap, it eventually settles down. I made this one here thicker, or you can use, I'm out of clump foliage. I need to go actually make my own and do a tutorial on making my own. It's been a while. This one here is my own foliage that was used, a dark forest green. So I had that mixed in with woodland linacea and mixed lighter green, they're medium, and you can't tell much difference between which one's bought and which one's not bought and homemade using foam sponges, which again is also another thing I explain on my website for tips. So yeah, there you go. You can use either this type of clump foliage for the base, or you can go and use more of the lichen foliage and add it to your base like this. So I'm going to go and I'm going to go place this on a board and show you. Alright, I'm back. As you can see here, the reason I went with the colors and how I did is it kind of follows the theme of what I did in this yard on my Christmas village. And if you can see, I used the same flock or the static grass over here with my cows, and over here with my pigs as a food source out in front of the family feed or fresh milk barn. So, and as you can see over here, the horse and the goats have the same thing. So that's why I was doing that with the chicken, and I was using the dead earth colors around here because this is less of the snowy area for where they're trying to find their food sources. So yeah, that's the whole concept of doing it that way, and when it dries, it won't be as dark and will be lighter and blend in, and I'll take some pictures of it when it's dry and complete. So alright guys, we're back here. I've got my rooster up over here now finally on its final dry. By that time everything should be done. I've got our other base we were working on is still drying. I thought since I brought up my other what's it called, rough coarse turf, that I add a little on there, so that's pulling off, and I'm still not quite done with that. I think I'm still debating if I want to do one more thing or not with it, and if so, we better hurry up and do that. And as we're doing that, I've got this base here now flocked, or the flock on it wet again. Reapplied some more water. I'm going to apply some more, and I put some more paint around the side where the other side was coming off. So I want to get this a little more wet here. And I'm going to pull this away. And the reason I'm doing that is I'm going to take my fine black ballast, and I'm going to come down here and put some on. And I'm just going to sprinkle some, making it look like it's a path. Try to make it look like a path. We're going to just sprinkle it thinly here. Near the ends, I want to get it a little dirtied out, a little feathered, you know, not so thick like I did on the top here. And we're going to come around in a few moments with a different angle. Alright, actually some of these characters aren't doing too bad as a second base holder. And I'm going to take, where is my brown ballast, my fine iron ore. Okay, so I got my fine. Since I do have this up here, I'm going to be smart. This here, I also have 2 drops of dishwater in to help when I first did it, to break the water in. I had this on an angle and I didn't realize it was that much of an angle. So some of my water ran over and ran my ballast, so that's an easy fix. Just take your flock over that turf. I'm going to flock back over where I have it. That actually might work out fine anyways, because some of that black ballast that was over there should come out quickly. I'm going to get my fine ore before I lose this opportunity. Just want a little bit. And where I have my black, I'm just going to sprinkle just to accent over it. Now I want to come back with my black ballast. Just a little bit like the same. I'm going to layer this twice. I'm just going to tap lightly over the brown and the black again. And one more time with the iron ore. I just want it a little bit because I want to just re-accent where I went over. Okay, there I go, perfect. That is completely soaking up everything I did on here. Let's switch it around and show you another view. So on this base, I'm pretty much just going to be leaving it with the brown and a little bit of where the ballast just come over on the path down. This side here didn't get as much, so I'll come back around in a second and just try to get the black to come down a little more down in this area right here. And then all the way around, I just want to try to keep mainly the flat brown so it's easier to pick up and move if you're moving this one here. If you try to get the ballast all around on the side, it's just going to all around, it'll just crumple off as soon as you pick it up. And that's why I didn't try to get around. And same with too much of the flock here. I'm going to wait and touch just a few areas and leave some areas so the fingers can pick these ones up so this is playable. Because if I'm using this one right here that I did, this one's got it all the way around. And after it dries, I only got a few areas I could pick up with safely. And I'm going to make this something would be for a diorama that's not moving. You'd have either a soldier or some type of, whatever figure you want to make your diorama for that's going to be into this foliage and terrain. So, and you can put them on there, and that could be something that sits as a standstill. Same with this, as it's starting to dry, you're starting to now see it getting lighter around the side, so all the other colors are starting to come out. But he's going to be going into a box where he's going to actually have some stuff protecting him, so it's not going to be getting damaged at the end for Christmas. This style of base right here would be something more I did for, that's my base for doing my shows, for doing these characters right here. See what I mean about as soon as you start touching them to try to move them around, you lose the ballast right away. Good idea, good concept, looks good when you first do it and take pictures of it. Doesn't last long. So see, I got a few areas here that I was able to do with it, stayed on because I didn't touch it. And when my kid was playing with it, he was moving it better than I was. And you can see on this one, same concept that happened. The ballast where I went over went off, the flock stayed on. But I started doing it and trying to leave the bases on the side with all the other ones I did, and I got much more I could show you that are done this way for playing purposes. Hey guys, I'm back really quick. I'm going to be inserting this part into the tutorial video. Now that my bases are dry, I decided I was going to do something with them instead of just having them. So I had a few of these farm animals that didn't have their bases done on here that were just on my board because I was tired of trying to quickly get them set up. So I did one of the roosters on the one, and you'll see a picture of it. And I'm going to do this chicken now, but I'm going to do it different. I'm going to use the road base that we had from the first part of the tutorial. This one right here. And we're going to place this rooster with the plain base on there and somewhat blended. And I'm not going to really try to hide around the base too much on the board itself. But what I'm going to do before I put it on here is I'm first going to paint it. quickly. I'm going to be generous with my paint. Try to get in around the toes. I'm not going to worry too much about perfection here around the feet because my flock is going to cover it up and hide some of the feet anyways. So it'll kind of look like he's dipping into the ground a little. And the reason I want this generously on is this is, again, going to absorb our flock. And I do this first instead of gluing him onto the base and then doing this, because when you're going to lock this down eventually with some of your PVA glue water, the glue gun will just, the hot glue will just totally dissolve and it'll fall apart and come right off. Okay, so I'm trying to keep my base bottom clean. I've got my flock that's the same on the board, pretty much, minus some snow, but because farm animals are running around and clawing up the ground, there's not going to be much snow anyways, and more of a dirt. So I'm going to take him by the easiest way to hold, and then I'm going to take my flock, which I just put a little bit on the spoon, and I'm going to sprinkle some around here, just lightly. I want to kind of give it an underbrush, just a little bit of an underbrush, because on our board we got part of a path, or what I was calling a path, but this is just going to be a little bit of a runoff on the road. Okay, I don't need more than that for now. Actually, we'll just put that in case I want to drop this a little touch up. I'm going to take my PVA water glue. I've got just a little bit flocked on the bottom here, just a little under base. I'm going to dip my water on here, staying away from my base. I'm just going to get a little, just one tiny little drop, just enough to run on one side each, because this one is going to lock that little bit down. And second, if I can get, I don't want to get too much on here. Alright, so I've just got this lightly watered, not like the last time I did this with my trees where the water all came out. I'm going to take my dark black ballast right here. Oh, right in front of me. I'm looking for my gold, or my copper. Okay, so I'm going to just get a little bit of ballast on here, because I want to put him on the path of part, and you're going to see what it'll look like once it. So now I'm going to sprinkle more of the ballast. The reason I wanted the green underneath is I wanted to kind of, you know, looking like this is going to be coming off the road, some scattered brush. Okay, I'm going to try to compare and contrast it. Yeah, that looks close. I'll show you guys in a few moments. And I'm just going to get a little bit of my copper on here. Just want a little freaking slab of this on here, really quickly before I can't, because this is just going to help accent that black a bit. Alright, so that's nice and quick and easy. I'm not going to need to brush up any flock over that. That all took the way I wanted to in one go. So put this away. I should have enough flock here, or water down on the between the flock and the ballast, but I'm just going to drop on one corner here to give a little more depth and texture. Just going to one little drop. Whoa, that's two drop. Okay, there we go. I just got one side right here with a little bit of water. It's hard to see because it's so far away. But I'm just going to take my coarse turf, get some of it to tap out. Come on. Gonna knock off the part I don't want.
There we go. Oop. Come back with a little bit of that black really quick again. And might need a dauber this back part right here. Oh, there, perfect. Now see how you work better with this glue bottle and you're not tired like I did in the last video where I was waiting for my sister and brother-in-law earlier where I was making some oopses. Okay, and then actually I'm going to just a little copper it again. Nope. We'll give it, once it dries up, a bit of a, looks like some of that turf got mixed in and grounded in with the road part. Okay, so I'm just going to let that part dry for a few moments here. Actually, I'm not going to let it dry. I'm just going to dry the bottom off. Yeah, I want that bottom nice and dry. So I'm going to come in here. If I can. Here, let me flip my camera around and come back in close. Okay, so this is what it's kind of looking like right now. And that's what I want because it's going to be going, sitting on this space on the road. And if I can get, look how it just blends in, or I can even move him a little bit back to show off our road a bit more. And I can go a little bit on the front more with the black when I'm looking at it. I'll just dab a little bit of water on there and come back in a moment and blacken it up a bit more. Okay, got my spoon. We're going to blacken that up a little bit more in the front to try to match the path up a bit more. So I'm going to move him here, and that's why I had the base in front of me. Got a little too much copper and what's it called, sticking on the front, and my paint's drying up too much is part of the problem. There, a little dab of water goes a long way. It's not another gel cushion 18-blade razor because this is one blade, a blade for beards and stubble. Shape and shave any length. A little bit of shape. Your best you with a little more black, and when it dries, the copper will still pop on there. Okay, so I'm pretty much stay still. I know I'm probably going to see a bit more of that copper. I know I'm going to, but just there, a little more accent. There, I like that. That's good. Yeah, perfect. I'm going to take my hot glue gun. Hopefully my bottom's still dry on this. Nope. So I'm going to just take something here and got some paper towel down lower on a shelf. I'm going to take my hot glue gun, just get a little bit of glue on the bottom. Ballast is a little easier to take the glue and work with and stick to. If you're trying to do this just to pure flock, good luck, it's not going to work out too well. And yes, some glue is going to come out and stick out. Here, let me do that quickly. Take your coarse turf. Oh, actually, I'll just do a little shake. Have a toothpick ready to go. And just quickly give it about that. My alarm clock went off at the same time that I was talking here. So basically what you want to do is while your glue is coming down, you push down and a little bit of it pops out. The other reason I had this ready to go is, and a toothpick, is where the glue kind of squirted out a little bit. I just took some of my flock. I flocked, or some of my coarse turf, tapped it out, took my toothpick and just pushed down and onto the glue to cover it and push it into the glue. And that way that hides the glue gap. But while my alarm went off, I missed a little part here, so I'm not going to worry. I'm just going to take my paintbrush, and I'm going to paint that little bit of a glob with the brown. Oh, and I noticed another spot. So if you do notice any spots, just give it a little quick touch of brown paint. Take your, where's my fine turf? Because this is on my grass side. I'm going to take my flock, my fine ground. Just going to quickly tap him on the side a bit. I'm going to accent it, accent it.
I don't think you can coach pressure, and in the case of Tim Hunter, I'm not sure that you should ask him about pressure because he doesn't like the
There.
He likes the idea of opportunity.
And once this dries, it'll look like it's blended in. I'm not going to worry about hiding where the base is showing up like I did on the other one. Oh, we got a blue strand right here. Like this, I'm not going to bother hiding that because where he's going to be going, no one's going to be seeing it on my board at all unless they get down and truly inspect it. So I will quickly clean up here, and then I'll flip the camera around and show you what he looks like and why Ballast is okay to use hot glue and why Flock doesn't. I've tried using Flock on this before. As soon as you put the glue down, you lift, you apply any of the water to lock it in. Even on Ballast, if I applied any of this water here while I was already hot glued onto the Ballast, I would have lost the rooster off or the chicken off of this right away anyways. So it really wouldn't have mattered. But yeah, once you do this and you're trying to hot glue this down to a dry base on just Flock turf, it doesn't work too well. Just a heads up, it does not work too well. All right, so okay, got things a little tidied up. Like I said, I'm not going to worry about where that base is showing right in here. Don't care. Not where it's going to be on my board. Not too concerned. As you can see, his feet mesh into, if I wanted to and got really anal, I could have put a little more ballast running between the base and two bases and blended it in. But again, no one's going to see that unless they get down on their hands and knees behind a house and look. And there you go. And I put him back further on the road because once again, no one's going to see what this is. Okay, so I decided I'm going to do one more thing with this last base over here in the corner. I'm just going to take, and this is probably one of the worst videos for trying to see, so let's see if I can move this up here onto the back of these. So I got the base right here. Let's see if I can move this up a bit better with my spoon so I don't wreck anything yet. And I'm just going to take, I usually use Fields, and that's a tutorial that I probably might have a time to do tonight. So before I have to go and run and pick someone up at the airport in a few hours. Okay, so I'm just trying to get right over the, this is not so easy trying to. All right. There we go. I chopped that up. I got it on top. And we're just going to wait for that to dry. And hopefully when it dries, I can come back and add this rooster and have him in and put a little bit of my static grass clump and have that also as a base on my board for Christmas. So I'll place it somewhere in the back on the other side. So there you go, guys. We'll be back when it's dried. I'll show you how everything looks and we'll finish off the video. So till then, we'll be back shortly. as you can see, the bases are done that we were working on earlier. This one right here, you can see it just sprinkled a little bit of the brown copper granule here into the black ballast to give it an accent. You can see where I use the two-tone of green. So, and you can see the little bit of, bush I dropped on there just to have a little bit of looking foliage. So this here, like I said, you can either use for wargaming, like bolt action or Warhammer pieces style. But before you do this, do get your guy on the base first, because if you try to hot glue over this, it does not work. It's going to fall off. But I was just doing this to show you how to go around and do a base. I did not have any guys who were baseless to do this with. I would have loved to have a larger one to do a better detail. Oh well, maybe down the road someday. And here's the other one where I used just some sprinkle of the light and dark underneath and ballast for my highlight, and then went over it with the coarse turf for the earth and the dead grass, and then I just went over with a little bit of my farm grass that we did the tutorial with and sprinkled it over for some depth. So that's our... Okay, as you see why I decided to use this rooster and on the road. As you can see, this road keeps on going, and as it stops here, it kind of had some dirt fluffing out, so I just try to make that dirt look like it was more... Here, let's move him in. More of a continuous area. Like I said, I used that, there's a purpose I was going for these colors. After Christmas, I get that rooster off the board, I'm going to have to clean him up, and I might have another base where I could do this with. And that last base we did earlier in the video, I kind of just touched up a bit more, cut this guy's feet off, glued him down, had a hold and weight, lightly watered the flock around him, holding him down as it was trying to fall off, because like I said a few moments before, as soon as you put the glue and glue water together, hot glue and glue water, it just breaks apart, but I was able to save it. And yeah, that's what that base is going to look like. That was touch up. This is our one we did from scratch. Here in the back is one of our trees from another tutorial. And here's this one from this tutorial. And here's our original rooster from earlier. Thank you guys for watching this tutorial. Hope you guys tune in to the next. And until the next time, have a great day.